Welcome back, everybody, to yet another video. So this one is going to be my official review for Stray. So obviously there's going to be no background noise. This is just game footage from when I first started the game to go along with it, as per the usual. So first category is the interest value. So does the game pique gamers' interest? How does the case look? The design, the summary of the game, and as much as I totally want to give this a 10 out of 10, because obviously it did pique my interest really high, it's not going to pique everybody's interest. People that are like really not into cats or are definitely dog people, um, there are, because I mean, there are people out there that will have nothing to do with cats. That's just a fact. Um, this game would obviously not necessarily appeal to them. Now, it would have been an interesting take if the devs who made this game had made it two different story modes. And it was basically the same story, same task, same everything. But the difference, instead of being a cat, you could have chose to be a dog, like a puppy. Yeah, comparison in size, not a full-grown dog. That would have been interesting. Then I think it really would have taken a lot of people's interests. Because as I said, I think there are people that would not play this game because it's a cat. Um, which sounds kind of dumb, but I guarantee there are people that are like that. And there are people that are not willing to pay the amount of money it was for a game where you play as a cat. And you know, there's lots of different ideas of what a game is worth. Um, so um, I don't really remember what the summary was. The case looked really nice. It had a cat on the front. It had the background of the town that you end up in. Lots of different colors. I believe the summary, it had to do something with you being a stray cat and you needing to find your way back to your home. A simple enough story, vague enough where it doesn't tell you tons of the plot that's happening, which is a good thing. Um, You might hear my cat crying in the background. I have a new kitten. If I had not said this to you all yet, a lot of my other friends and servers know, but I have a new kitten. She's white. She's adorable. I named her Luna. Um, I had asked my sister permission to adopt the name of her old cat. So, with her blessing, I named her Luna. So, and she's very needy. She's constantly at my door during the day, wanting in when I'm recording, because I don't let her in my room when I'm recording, because she and my other cat like to get into trouble. So I don't let them in here when I'm recording. Anyway, so as far as interest value, I would probably give it. I would have to give it a 9 out of 10. I obviously can't give it a 10 just because, as I said, there's going to be people that don't like it. So that's just the way it be. Ease of control. Are the controls easy to learn? Do you have the ability to change controls? Yada yada. Most games get a 10 out of 10 for this. On the rare occasion there is a game that doesn't allow you to change controls. Now, this game allows you to either play with controller or on mouse and keyboard. However, it was designed with controller in mind, and they do say that at the beginning of the game when you're playing. It does say Stray is designed for a gamepad, preferably. But you can play with keyboard and mouse. I think you can change some of the controls, but not many. But even so, the controls on a on a gamepad are really easy to learn. Um, so that's gonna get a 10 out of 10. As I said, you have two different options: keyboard and mouse or gamepad. And then I think you can change some of the controls, but there's not too many. You know, you have jump, you have meow, you have basically, I think you almost use every single button besides like the control pad, which is really, hardly ever gets used in games. Um, you can use the control pad later on down the road. Once you get further in the game, you find your AI companion. Um, but yeah, it's definitely easy to play. Um, Graphics. How are graphics, the realism, the lighting? It's great. I mean, you could tell even with it kind of cutting in and out because at this time it was my first try using OBS, so that's why it's a little laggy. OBS was trying to keep up. I was still trying to set up OBS, and it was not perfect at this moment. But I mean, just look at the colors. It's so realistic. The lighting is great. It's bright for the most part. There are some dark, dingy areas when you get into the city aspect, but overall the colors are fantastic. It's so inviting. It's nice to look at. You find yourself, or at least I found myself, halting my gameplay just to look at my surroundings and check some things out because there's just some areas that are so beautiful. When you get to the treehouse later in the game, that's one of my favorite areas. It's so beautiful and up high, and so many lights and colors and flowers, and it's just so nice. Um, but I do think the graphics are pretty damn good, especially considering you're playing as a cat. I mean, it's just, I think it's a great. So I think it deserves a 10 out of 10 in that aspect. Freedom. Do you have freedom of play? Or does it follow a set story? So this one always is interesting to me. Basically, the way I critique this is I get that most games have a set story, unless it's open world. Like Elden Ring to me is a good example of something that is more open worldy, but still has a set storyline. Uh, it has a storyline to the game, but it has multiple endings, multiple mid games, but you still have the option to do lots of exploring, lots of side quests, yada yada yada. Um, and then you'll have some games like Among the Sleep, like I just reviewed, where I said basically it is the storyline and you really can't do anything else. Yes, you can explore a tiny bit, but it's really a set linear thing. Um, Stray is kind of in between. Stray does obviously have a set storyline. Um, it does move you along. However, you aren't like forced to stick to the storyline like you are in Among the Sleep. Like the farther you explore, the farther you get into Among the Sleep. Whereas in Stray, unless you're following your current objective, you can explore to your heart's content. Once you hit like Midtown, the treehouse, the slums, there's a lot to explore, so you don't have to feel like you're stuck doing the storyline. There are other quests you can do, which I will get into extras. But you do have some freedom of play. It's not a lot like Elden Ring. Like Elden Ring, as I said, to me is a perfect 10 out of 10 for free play. You've got the main story, but then you've got a crap ton of side quests and other things you can do. Stray does have a few, but nothing crazy. But it does have more freedom of play than like Among the Sleep did. So I think I'll probably give it an 8 because there are some areas where once you start a story mode part quest, you could say you're kind of stuck doing it and you can't really stop. Oh, this part of the game just broke my heart. Like it's so sad. Look at the face. I'm getting distracted. Um so next would be game story. So it does have a good story. Is it explained well? Does it make sense? Yes, this has a really good story. And as I was stating for the interest value, for the like summary of the game, it gives you a summary of being a stray cat needing to find your way home. But what it doesn't tell you is there's a deeper part of the story where you're helping robots, because there are no humans in this. You're helping robots come out of the darkness of wherever they've been confined by their government and helping them find their way back to the surface again. Um, Along with, some side quests and getting families back together that have been separated by the tyrannical ideals of whoever is controlling their place. Which it appears is like AI. But it does have a really good story, really heartwarming the farther you get into it. It is explained well. It does make sense. It's a good story. It goes into a direction you don't really expect. So I think it's pretty much a 10 for that aspect. Extras. Are there achievements? Are there bonus features? So examples I like to give is like if you play Evil Within, you can search for keys to unlock lockers, um, things to that nature. Most games do have achievements. This one definitely does. I believe it had 25 achievements. There are some bonus features, extras of the game, I guess you could say, as I was trying to say earlier. Instead of just focusing solely on the main story, you can do some side quests to gain badges. I think there's 5 badges total in the game, and some of them you have to do extra quests for. But the only way you're going to find these quests is if you go and you talk to everybody, which is not required to play this game. To get further in the game, you can talk to specific people to move your story along, but you are not required to talk to everybody. So some of these badges you only earn if you talk to specific people, do their specific side quest to get said badge. The one I could think of right away is when you get to the treehouse area. There is a lady you talk to who needs flowers. You have to get 3 different kinds of flowers from around the area, bring them to her, and she gives you a badge. There's one closer to the end where you'll find a worker where there's tons of guard sentinels you're supposed to avoid, and he says something about missing his keys. If you go and find his keys, loop back around and give them to him, then he gives you a badge. One badge is just given to you when you get to a specific part in the game. Another badge is hidden in a safe that you have to find a locker for. And there's one more. I don't remember what it is, but there is one more badge because I think there's 5. So there are some extras in this game. There's not a lot. There's the badges. There's the Steam achievements, of course. There's the memories to get. If you're paying attention, you will get most of them in one playthrough, these memories. Basically, if you get all the memories, it changes, I'm sorry, it changes your, like, I call it your book bag that attaches to your body once you get your AI companion. Basically, it changes it from black to, like, rainbow chroma. It is the coolest looking color. The only thing I wish is I wish it would unlock permanently, so when you start a new game, you get that color instead of the black, but the only way you get it is if you replay chapters from your save game. Because when I went back to get my last badge, I needed to play the game, or finish the game in under 2 hours. And I did not want to, because I'm OCD, I did not want to go and replay the chapters from my finished game, because it would keep track of, it would let you redo the chapter essentially, so you would have to re-get the memories again. And I had the game basically 100%. I had all the memories, all the badges, yada yada yada. If I had restarted a chapter, I would have been like missing memories on purpose just to get the game done faster. And in my brain, I would rather start a new game fresh and go from start to finish than go from chapter to chapter and then it not be like on paper 100%, if you get my gist. So I did start a new one and I was stuck with the black bag. And in the game, you really don't get the new chroma color until pretty much 10 minutes before the end of the game. So you really don't get to use it that much. But it is nice. So if you were someone that didn't get a lot of the achievements the first go round and you have to replay chapters, then you would be able to use the chroma backpack a lot more than I did. But I kind of did a lot of the achievements as I was going along. So once I knew some of the achievements, I was like, oh, well, I passed this chapter. I just redid that chapter. So, but it all worked out. The color is really cool. So there are quite a few extras, you could say. Not as many as a lot of games, but there are quite a few. As I was stating, the Steam achievements, the badges, the memories. You can get music sheets in here. That might be it. So I think it's probably a good 9 out of 10 when it comes to extras. they're not super hard, they're not super easy, they're kind of mid-range, especially the Steam achievements. Most of them you can get if you pay attention and you do explore. Um, you can probably get 20 out of the 25 in your first go. Some of the other ones are a little bit harder. You had to play multiple times for, or if you're just unlucky. But most of them were pretty simple. It's funny enough, the one that has the least achievement on Steam, which I think it is in most games, is the speedrun one. Only 2% of players have gotten that one. But for me, the hardest one was there is a chase scene at the beginning of chapter 2 with the nasty blobs. You have to get through that whole chase scene without even being touched by a blob. Not even killed. You can't even be touched by one. The instant one jumps on you, you have to start over for the achievement. The achievement is you cannot get touched by one in that entire chase scene. And the entire chase scene is like 30 seconds long, and there's so many of the blobs. I had to restart and do it over. I don't even know how many times, 25 plus times to get that achievement done. And yet, I think 5% of people had gotten that one, but only 2% did the speed run. And it's obvious to me that the reason why the speedrun one is less achieved than the rest is the speed one. Obviously, nobody's going to speedrun a game the first time they play it unless you are a complete freak of nature. You're going to enjoy the game, go through it, play it. And a lot of people, once they beat a game, they don't want to go back and replay it all from beginning start to finish just to get a speedrun achievement because you've already played it. Obviously, they don't want to redo it again. But there are some of us freaks out there like me that if you want Steam achievements, if you want to plat the game, you have to do the speed run. So I did. And granted, 2 hours to speed run it, which actually I think it only took me about an hour and a half to speed run it. That's really not that bad, and it saves your progress. You don't have to do it in one go. If you do a third of the game, speed run, save, leave, and come back later and continue on, it's going to go right from where you left off. So you don't have to do it in one sitting. So it really wasn't that bad. Especially if you did lots of exploring your first playthrough, you pretty much knew where everything was. You could go through it pretty quickly. You didn't have to get the memories or the badges. You don't have to do any of that. You just have to follow the main storyline. So it wasn't that bad. Plus you learned some shortcuts along the way. So yeah, went off on a tangent there. But yeah, definitely got a 9 out of 10 for extras. Time, length of game, as I've told you all before, it's pretty much a point per hour of gameplay. I had 10 uploads, each one were at least half an hour. So it's probably a 6-7 hour game. It took me like 13 just because of exploring and doing achievements. So, I think the average, depending on the player and how far they get into this and what they decide to do in their gameplay, I'm gonna assume that I'm probably gonna give it, I'll probably give it at an 8 out of 10 for this. Because it was probably about 8 hours gameplay average if you're taking into account getting achievements, badges, and paying attention throughout the game. It is not a super long game, definitely not. It's only made longer the more you explore, really. So I think 8's probably a good score. Before the end, I might change it to a 9, but as for now, I'm going to leave it at an 8. Replayability. So this is where it lacks. Unless you really enjoy, and I mean really, really, really enjoy the game, this is not super replayable. It is obviously for the achievements, but as I stated before, you could get a lot of them in one go, or you have the ability to replay chapters, which is a good thing. That I will give it credit for. So, actually, this is the chase I was talking about. This is the one where you cannot get touched as you run through these nasty ass blobs. And I remember the first time I went through this, I did die the first time. I'm curious to see how far did I get before a blob even got on me? Because I'm about a third of the chase right now, and one hasn't even touched me. See, now I'm distracted. Yep, it's always that corner right there. Yep, and I think I kind of forgot to, I forgot to hit B. You have to like spam it to get them off. But those things are nasty. Anyway. Um, depending on the person, this would be fun to replay. It does not have different endings. There is no DLC. There is no new story. Um, this is basically essentially the same game. Um, but I guess if you really enjoyed the game, it is replayable. Um, it is fun, as I stated. It would be a few months or a year before I would consider like replaying it. Um, so due to that, I'll probably give it um I don't know. I'll give it an 8. Honestly, that's really generous, but but I really did enjoy it, and I do think I'd replay it even without needing the achievements. I mean, you get to play cat for God's sake. Who doesn't want to be a cat? Unless you're a cat hater, you know. But so next category is price. So is the price justifiable based on the length of the DLC, the costumes, yada yada in the game? A lot of people were having an issue with the price for this game, so I think it's sold at the $29.99 price range. However, when it was released, it was automatically on sale for like $25, I think, or it might have been even a little bit cheaper than that. It was around the $25 mark when it was on sale. Now, for 8-10 hours of gameplay, in my opinion, with all the achievements and extras in the game, I think it was worth the price. A lot of people would disagree, but I think of it this way. People are out spending $60, $70 on games, like fighting games. Yes, you could say, oh, they're replayable, obviously, because they're fighting games, but it's not a story. You're just fighting constantly. Yeah, there's different characters and different opponents and boring, but it's the same thing over and over. All you do is fight, and people are willing to pay $60, $70 for a game like that. So, in my opinion, you can't really complain with a less than $30 price tag on this kind of game. So I do think it was worth the money. Another thing that I think would have been interesting would be, besides the doing the stray dog idea too, was if you got to change the color of your cat. Now that would have been an interesting thing to do. Instead of being stuck with the orange one, if you were allowed to customize it, or even of the 4 at the beginning, if you got to pick which one you wanted to be, that would have made it a little bit interesting as well. But I do think the price was justifiable for the amount of game, especially in the industry we're in. This is an indie game. I mean, they got to make money somehow. They're not a AAA title here. So, you know, they got to make money too. So I do think in that aspect, it's a 10 out of 10. I had no problem with the price, especially considering the day it came out, it was on sale. Even if it was only 10% off, that's still a sale. Last category is always my personal score. It's basically just my personal feelings about the game. It has nothing to do with any logic whatsoever. It's just how I feel. And as you guys know, I made a Steam review for this game, and I adore this game. I think it's fun. I really didn't have that many issues with it. There were no like lagging or game bugs that I was aware of. I got all the achievements. It took me about 14 hours, I think, to get all the achievements, replayed it twice. So, it was super fun. So, of course, for me, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10 just because I enjoyed it that much. Um, but I think that's a pretty decent score. A lot of people are wanting to say, well, it's another hot topic, but a lot of people are saying, oh, this could be a game that gets Game of the Year. The Game of the Year thing for me is, I really wish it was done differently. The way they do it to me is so strange because I get basing it on the game and not what like platforms it comes to, because like, and I have this argument with my server. There's a couple people in my server who are like big haters of certain games or just don't like it for the most part. And there's one in particular that is really down and it hopes that God of War wins Game of the Year. But God of War hasn't even come out yet. But like, the issue I have with that is I think Elden Ring of so far of this year, I think Elden Ring is the best game that has yet to come out so far. I don't really think anything that's come out after it is better. A lot of people are saying this game, the way it's sold, is gonna dethrone Elden Ring for Game of the Year. And sadly, I could see that happening because of the fact that last year It Takes Two won Game of the Year over Resident Evil Village, which I was completely shocked about. Resident Evil Village was so hyped. It was a fantastic game. I gave that game a super high rating. It was so much fun. I loved it. I mean, I had no issues with it. But for whatever reason, It Takes Two won Game of the Year. And thinking about it, it sort of makes sense. It really depends on the panel because I don't agree with this aspect either. It's not all customer based response when it comes to Game of the Year. That's only like a tenth of their votes come from outside sources, like real players. The rest of it comes from a freaking panel of judges. And people, they're all goody and social justice and yada yada, political. Um, who knows if they even played the game? So, based on that, I was not surprised that It Takes Two won, considering it's a family based game and it had a good message behind it. And believe me, that It Takes Two is a really good game. I've played it a couple times now. And I'm currently playing it actually. It's been a while, but it's it is a good game, but I was kind of disappointed that Resident Evil did not win Game of the Year. But I do understand it. But based on this whole discussion, a lot of people are thinking Stray could win Game of the Year over Elden. I would be very sad to see that. Yes, Stray is a really good game considering it is an indie, but I think Elden Ring was leaps and bounds ahead. Like the amount of content you got for the price, and they're still getting content with talks of a DLC coming as well. Elden is just so much, whereas Stray is not. Granted, it's double the price tag, yeah, but it's just Elden for me is so high tier. Um, but with the way certain people are, they'll be like, "Oh, well, Stray is fun and kids could play it and it's a good family game and it's cute and things like that," which it is, but to me, it's not worthy of Game of the Year. But anyway, going off on a tangent again. So overall, if I look at the grade, basically, if you add it all up, it gets a 92 out of 100, or you could say a 9.2 out of 10, um, which is an A, which it definitely deserves. I thought my score would actually be a little higher than that, but I kind of had to ding it for the replayability aspect, the extras, um, and the freedom. Just because it really lacked in those areas a little bit, but nothing crazy. But I do think it does deserve the A, but I do not think it's a perfect game like some other people do. But overall, it is a really great game. I do recommend it highly. I think everybody that has any interest in cats or is even questioning playing it, I think you should play it. It's fantastic. It's fun, enjoyable. You can play it with people. You can play it together. I know a couple people in my server were playing it and streaming it for each other, and it's just overall a good time. It's a really great game. Brilliant idea. As I said, they could have done it with the cats, or not cats, dogs as well. Um, but yes, I definitely recommend this game. Everybody should play it. Um, but other than that, that is my review for Stray. Um, you guys know I'm still working on Elden. Obviously, that's going to take me a long time to finish because I'm only doing it a little bit at a time when I have the time. Um, and then I'm also currently working on Mortuary's Assistant. That is the horror game I am working on. But now that I'm done with Stray, I need to find a non-horror game to start on. I know I brought up some ideas to you all before of what I might do next. I'm not really sure. I might do an anime of some sorts, or I might have to just look through Steam and see what I have. I considered Assassin's Creed. I need something simple, I guess you could say. It really depends on my mood. But I guess you guys will find out because I really don't know for sure yet what it is I'm going to play. But other than that, this was my review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you think. If you've played Stray, let me know what you think about it in the comments. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more. And as always, I'll see you all in the next one. Bye, guys.